doing things at consistency with also like with no expectations. So you can't just try one thing for a month and like it doesn't work. It's like working out, going to the gym. You have to go to the gym every single day, 5 days a week for 2 months before you might see results.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably take less time, but 2 months. And in business, it might be 5 years. So you're willing to put in the work and do the same thing over and over and over again for 5 years to maybe see results. If you do that, you'll be successful.
Welcome to Small Business Pivots, a podcast designed for small business owners. I'm your host, Michael Morrison, a small business coach and founder of Boss, where we make business ownership simplified for success so that you can create a business that works without you. To learn more, go to businessownershipsimplified.com and be sure to hang out to the end of this episode for my recap and Coach's Corner, where I challenge you to take action on one thing that will move the needle in your business. Our guest today is Michael Mannino. Michael is the founder and CEO of Real Estate Wealth Builders. Real Estate Wealth Builders is an educational company that helps real estate investors quickly scale their real estate business. Michael's real estate business flipped over 80 houses by the age of 30, allowing him to create additional companies that generate an additional $1 million plus per year in annual revenue. And he sold tens of thousands of copies of his book, making him an Amazon best-selling author. Michael has learned how to successfully automate his fix and flip business to run on autopilot so he can focus on additional entrepreneur activities and his family in South Carolina. He knows that time and freedom are important and is eager to share his systems and processes that work for investors and small business owners alike. He wants everyone to win and achieve this freedom. So now he is helping new and experienced entrepreneurs scale their businesses. Let's get to our guest now to learn how his proven processes can help you scale your business successfully. Welcome to another Small Business Pivots podcast. Today we have a special guest from around the world. I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I have found I cannot pronounce anyone's name like you can. So I'll let you go first and your company and what you do.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And my name is Michael Mannino. And that's okay. Everyone kind of messes it up, Mania or something. So about me, I have bought, fixed, and flipped over 80 houses before the age of 30 in the state of Michigan. I have now moved to South Carolina a year and a half ago. So now we buy, fix, and flip houses, and I don't even see them in person. And that's because we have really good system and team in place. That's the only way that allows me to do that because I can't be at Home Depot when I'm 750 miles away. And then I also own over 65 rentals right now of apartments that pay me every single month. And I also help people who want to fix and flip houses and buy apartments. I also help them as well.
At a younger age, did you grow up wanting to be an entrepreneur? What kind of happened in your life that led you down this path, do you feel?
Very good question. So it's not like I always wanted to. Actually, I wanted to be a chiropractor, growing up, but I graduated high school with a 2.8 GPA. So I don't think that was in the cards for me.
Hey, I got the same patch. Okay. We're in the same club.
And I will say what did help me a lot was like really the mindset. Just for like a quick minute, if you don't mind me going into this, I think it's really important is, at 13 years old, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like an ulcer in your stomach where it really hurts to eat. And I was taking 16 different medications a day at 13. And I was on steroids. I gained 35 pounds and I'm, 5'6". So it did not look good on me when I gained 35 pounds, looked like Pillsbury Doughboy in the face. But the experience really helped me because it taught me how precious life is and that tomorrow isn't always guaranteed at a very young age. So it was the biggest blessing I've ever received because I think I grew up a lot faster than most people, even people my age, because we think, tomorrow's always, we have till 85 and that's not the case. So ever since then, I took life very serious, take massive action. We talked about this before the call about taking massive action because I don't want to leave this earth with regrets. So how I kind of got into real estate. So and from 13 to 16, so I was going through this. And then ever since 16 years old, I have not been to the doctors. I haven't taken medication. And I believe with the power of God and positive thinking, I watched The Secret 18 times with Jack Canfield. And there's a lady who cured herself from breast cancer with eating right and believing she was cured. And I was like, if she can do that with breast cancer, I can do it, with Crohn's disease. And like, being a young kid and I had nothing else to lose because I was in pain so much, I gave my life to God and I did all the right steps. And then that taught me like, all right, with the power of, the Lord behind you, doing the right thing, all the things you're supposed to be doing, I cured an incurable disease in 3 years and 36 months. I haven't been to the doctors. I'm 31. So it's been 15, 16 years. So I had that experience. And then I grew up from humble beginnings. My father's a carpenter. So I worked at McDonald's from at 16 years old. And then I bussed tables at 17, waited tables at 18. 19 years old, I bought my first house. It was a foreclosure back in 2012. I saved up $14,500 from doing all those jobs and just living at home, having a 2004 Malibu with no horn and no AC, paid for in cash, right? And doing all the things you're supposed to be doing. So I bought this house, long story short, and I fixed it up. 3 years later, I sold it for twice what I paid for it. So then I moved back home with mom and dad at 21 years old, had $60,000 in the bank, and then I just started flipping houses from there.
I hear a lot of people saying, I don't know if I'm smart enough to own a business. What would you say to those people coming from someone that, like myself, had a lower than average GPA?
Yeah, do you know what's funny? I always want to I don't know my IQ, and I hope it's like lower than average just to prove to people you don't need to be smart. And two, like what I love about real estate and like business, it's nothing complex. Like everything I do is adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. I don't do radiuses and circumferences or anything of that nature. But I will say it does take a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance. And as long as you're willing to wake up and do the same thing every single day, even without seeing any results for a very long period of time, you will be successful. It's just how long is it going to take to get there?
I found clarity and consistency to be kind of two of the traits that are really valuable more than mindset, just from my experience, is like you said, do something every day. No matter what it is, just do something. Make 1% better. And I know a lot of people read those in those books, personal developments and all that stuff, but it really is true. And none of us have the secret sauce to success.
Yeah.
It's just that clarity of what you want, what you're doing, and that consistency. So I'm glad you brought that up. So you bought your first house, you flipped it, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah, it was all easy
there's
from
a lot
there.
of stuff
It was all, and I can go into that a little bit too. And so I moved back home with mom and dad, and it was very like, and that's the thing too, like, so if you're listening to this, everyone's story is a little bit different, but if you notice, like I kept humbling myself. Like I had this car with no horn and no AC, I had $14,000. I wanted the 2010 yellow black stripe Camaro from Transformers, Bumblebee. I wanted Bumblebee at 19 years old, right? But instead I bought this moldy house that was foreclosed on. And I knew that was a better investment in the long term. And then same with, I had this check and everyone's like, you're going to buy Bumblebee now? You got 60 grand. You can pay for it in cash, right? And I said, no, I'm going to move back home with mom and dad. I'm going to start flipping houses from there. I would say hack to becoming successful is make your goals bigger than yourself. Make your goals about someone else. So when I moved back home with mom and dad, like I said, my father was a carpenter. And at the time he was doing like finished carpentry, hanging cabinets, hanging doors, laying floor, doing trim. And I'll never forget, I'm trying to do this flipping business. He came home, he was 49 years old at the time, and he leaves at 7 a.m., comes back home at 4:30 and just plops right on the couch. Yeah. Like dead tired. Right there, I realized like we don't have till 65. He's 49 at the time. I was like, there's no way he could do this for another 16 years. No way I could ethically allow him to do this for another 16 years. So I made this crazy bet with my father. I said, listen, like, if you make over $100,000 a year working with me, you only work 20 hours a week. You just check on the guys. You don't do any physical labor. You just manage the rehab projects. We can do this flipping company together. And he's like, all right, you crazy kid. I'm 21 at the time.
Yeah.
I think I was 24 at the time when I made him this bet. And I tried to do, I was like, in 12 months, I'm going to retire my dad. And I failed. Right. But it took me 24 months. And then 2019, he shut down his construction companies, just doing managing the rehabs. And I believe that I worked harder and did what was required because I was thinking of someone else and serving someone else than just serving me to make $100,000 a year, right? I was waking up every day like, how can I help my dad, who I believe is like the best father in the world, and serve him? And I feel like I took more risk and did like what was required of me to become successful, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I have two boys that need to hear that. I'm sure everybody says that. Will you talk to my kids?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what were so the show is Small Business Pivots. And so we
Mhm.
talk about some pivots that business owners made to become successful because
Mm.
most business owners get stuck or they want this business that runs without them. And that's not always being away 24/7. That could be some business owners just can't even get away for an afternoon unannounced. So, let's talk about some pivots that you've made that you found to be beneficial in your success.
I would say the number one thing I did was find someone like you, find a mentor, and paid them to learn their success. Like right here, you're gonna like this. Here's all of my events I've been to,
Wow.
and there's actually
Wow.
more. I started keeping them after, but I've been to. I feel like I got to. I don't even know. I mean, I have four more from now till April of events, and I'm learning constantly. I'm a sponge, learning from other people. When I started flipping houses, the first year we did two houses in 1 year, and I was like mowing the lawn. I was going to Home Depot. I was doing all the work, and I was like, and then I hear other people. They're like, we flip 100 houses a year. And I'm like, there's no way. I thought they were lying to me. I was like, there's no way. There's no possible way you can do this. And then I learned to actually turn this into a business. And like I'm not the one, like they're not the one going to Home Depot. They don't even look at their houses. And I was like, this guy's lying. There's no possible way. And then, we went from 2 houses a year to 4 houses a year. The next year went to 9 houses a year, then 18 houses a year. And then we usually do about 20 houses a year. And that's all from like learning from other people, like their mistakes, how to hire people and compensate them and raise capital for your deals, because we're just using our own money at the time. So that was like the number one pivot, was finding someone who was where I wanted to be and learn from them.
So, for those that are listening to the audio version only, he held up what do you call those things?
The lanyards
The
from events.
lanyards
Yeah.
of all kinds of events and conferences, and it is a lot, a lot. So when you went there, just to give someone an idea, because that's a great
Mhm.
idea, you pay for the events, you go in, and there's a plethora of knowledge in that building, and most of them are business owners are
Yeah.
in there or decision makers
Mhm.
of each booth. What did you go there to learn?
It's funny. Like at first, it's like, I don't know what I don't know. Marketing. So I have a college degree, a 4-year paid degree. I paid $60,000 a marketing degree. And it is, my next book's going to be is like the biggest, like I took the bait. That's don't steal the name, but I took the bait. Like seriously,
Yeah.
like, because I didn't learn how to set up an LLC, website, pay-per-click online marketing, direct to seller mailers. How about analytics tracking? How about setting up a phone system? How about setting up a CRM, a website? All those things that we do in our business. I didn't learn a thing of that in college. It's the saddest thing in the world. And it's kind of funny where people are scared to. They'll easily pay 60,000 for a marketing degree that doesn't teach you anything about marketing, just memorizing terms out of a book and write a paper on it, versus paying $60,000 a year to someone who makes millions of dollars a year to be their student. It's like, what would you rather do?
I'm clapping for you. Like this needs to go worldwide. Even coaches have business coaches, or at least the good ones do. I have several. So you were at the shows, and so did you just start picking their brain? So for anybody that wants to try your method there, they
Yeah.
go to a show, and what did you do when you
So
went?
Yeah, so I joined a couple masterminds. Like you said, like, I joined ones for single family flipping, then multifamily, then coaching, like you said, like how to coach people. Like I'll never start a new career or new business without hiring someone who's already at the level I want to be in. So a lot of these events, it's really cool. I actually just held mine last month in Key West. I had 30 real estate investors come to my own event. It
Wow.
was insane. What they typically do is they have guest speakers, and they'll have people share for like a 2-3 day weekend. This is what we did. We have people share. So I have people who are what they're called wholesalers, where they find discounted houses, and then they sell them to fix and flippers like me. So they just run basically a marketing company to find discounted houses. And then there's other people who are fix and flippers like myself. And they're like, here's how we set up our company. We just like, here's the numbers behind it. And then I do this weird marketing thing that makes me an extra couple $100,000 a year. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll just do this weird marketing thing that makes them money. Right. And we're just kind of all sharing our business. And then even if something's like not directly related, you can, like, if you talked about your business, I'm going to be pulling things from it. Just like, oh, I'm going to be writing it down, filling out pages of notes, and then I can like take those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of coaches did you get, or mastermind groups were you a part of?
When I wanted to learn how to flip houses, one called 7-Figure Flipping. It was about building a fix and flip company. And then when I wanted to learn how to buy apartment buildings, because I knew how to fix and flip houses, and $100,000 house versus $1 million apartment building, it's so funny how some people are scared to pay for education. Because I paid $20,000 to my mentor for multifamily, and I was like, I'm literally buying $1 million property. Like, $20,000 variance on $1 million property is nothing.
Yeah.
It's 2%. So if I make just this one property, it'd be worth to pay 20,000, just so I don't make a $100,000 mistake, right?
Yeah.
But then you're going to take that knowledge and you're going to use it for the next property, the next property, the next property. So that's what I don't know. I just learn from other people and their mistakes, because there's a lot of things you don't know. You don't know, like, even the questions to ask. Like, there's one thing for the apartments. We had this property in a contract, and then he's like, "Did you do a phase 1 environmental?" I was like, "I have never heard that word before in my life. What is this?" He's like, "A phase 1 environmental is a couple $1,000s, but it's to make sure that there's nothing weird going on the property. Like before the property could have been a gas station, or there's like oil tanks in the ground, or that the ground is contaminated from a neighboring property that could be like a commercial property." And something that I had no idea to even ask. It's a couple $1,000 report, and if you have a problem and they do find oil tanks, it's on the owner's responsibility. And this could be a couple $100,000 project, right? And if you didn't even know to ask those questions and to get these reports, and then you buy a property that has issues, now you just paid more than that $20,000 of education, right?
You did some mastermind classes or groups. Mm-hmm. There are so many across the United States, and I hear mixed reviews about those. What would you say someone should be looking for if they were to explore looking to be part of a mastermind group so they can get benefits like you did?
Very good question. So I looked for people who are at where I wanted to be, personally and business-wise. I'm a Christian background. I want those good ethics and morals, like first and foremost. And then it's, hey, what kind of business do they want? And then I just can I pay them enough money so I can replicate it, versus like finding a mentor maybe I like, but he does something different and it's not related to what I want to do. You're hiring like maybe the wrong coach, right? So I look for people who are at where I want to be personally and business-wise.
And then often people are asking, what happens in a mastermind group or class? What is it, a kind of a sitting forum? Do you meet once a month? What was your experience like?
Yeah, and they're a little bit different, but we would do like bi-weekly calls. It's so funny. Just even hearing other people talk about their business in like a close environment is so powerful. So we would do like bi-weekly calls, like, hey, what projects are you working on? What struggles are you working on? Like, what projects do you have under contract? Which ones are you selling? Is there something you have questions on for helping maybe estimate the repair estimates, or estimate the value of the property when you're done with it? And then just hearing other successful people talk. It's funny. I make over $100,000 a year for the last 7 years from one thing someone offhandedly said that they do to their properties to maximize the value when they go to sell them. Like staging, and there's like a whole checklist they did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the first property made $14,000 more just by implementing what they said. And, we flip 20 houses a year and it adds up. So, and then we would get together maybe once a year as a private group. And then we sit down and just really dive into each other's business. Like I just did, I showed hey, here's how much money our business made. Here's all the marketing channels that we've made, that we use. And here's how much money we're making from each marketing channel. right? And then here's our team setup. Here's how we compensate everyone. Here's the apps we use for project management. Like just really just having that like expansive mindset of like sharing and giving, that there's enough going around, instead of just kind of like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to tell my secrets. Like I have the best friends in the world and we just share secrets with each other and we just all learn and grow. And every year we do better and better.
I've got a friend that he finds the best benefits out of mastermind groups because he says you're basically replicating proven concepts.
That's it.
With good friends. Like you're not a competitor. Like who would join a mastermind group to compete? No, they're there to help and learn as well. So you share best practices and you can build a business so much faster with someone that's already done it. And I love your verbiage of we don't know what we don't know, because I say that all the time.
You're listening to Small Business Pivots. This podcast is sponsored by Boss, where business ownership is simplified for success. Boss helps business owners create a business that runs without them with business consulting, business loans, and much, much more. Go to businessownershipsimplified.com to learn why small business success starts with Boss. If you're enjoying the podcast and want to stay up to date with all of our episodes, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, or leave a positive review. Now let's get back to our guest.
You do moving into the having a business that runs without you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it does because you're in one state and some of your properties are in another.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into that phase? Because I know a lot of business owners are stuck working in their business.
Yes.
Like doing the hourly jobs because they can't get out. What was that transition like for you? What were those first steps and what do you have now?
Good question. So my first house, when I was like 19 years old, I tiled my bathroom. It took me 6 weeks to tile my bathroom and I hated every second of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I would fire myself if I was a contractor. And it took you 6 weeks to tile a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like I hated every second of it. I'm on YouTube trying to figure out how to lay tile. And so I realized like that helped me actually a lot. Cause then I was like, okay, I can't do that task. I have to hire that out. There's no even a question if I can do this task. And then, so what makes us the most money is finding the next property to flip. It's really hard to find a discounted property where we can buy it, put some money into it, and then sell it for a profit. That's the hardest part because it's like finding free money. I said to myself, like, this is the only task I need to be doing is finding the next deal, because we have contractors. And you got to realize the contractors, they have employees and they all have mortgages and they have kids. So it's my moral obligation to find as many houses as possible so that they never run out of work. So my whole job is going to be toward finding houses, learning marketing to do this. And then I came up with another rule, a $75 an hour rule, which is if it costs less than $75 an hour, I outsource it no matter what, personal or business. And I only work on above $75 an hour tasks.
My wife and I do something similar, except on traveling, because traveling has become so taxing. You know, you got to be there 2 hours before your flight. You might lose your luggage. It might be late. And we're like, okay, if we can drive there in 8 hours or less, we're driving. Plus we have our own car. We don't have to pay for Uber. So using, and I only share that because that's applicable in a lot of different areas in life, is put a value, what's your time worth, and then have that established, that boundary.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. Like, yeah, and back then it was $75 an hour. Now it's more. And then you realize how many things you can hire out for $75 an hour. You can hire out a lot of things, right?
Well, absolutely. Well, and like you said, your job of any business is to turn cash into more cash.
Exactly.
So when you're sitting there doing manual labor, you're not making money.
You're doing a disservice to you and your business. It's irresponsible. That's why I tell new people, I'm like, it's irresponsible for you to be doing anything else than finding the next deals to buy.
Very cool. So what else would you say you've learned that you'd like to share with our audience? Mistakes, something you would have done different, something you're working on doing different?
There's so many. That's such an open-ended question. But I think some of the things that we kind of talked about was doing things of consistency with also with no expectations. So like when it comes to marketing, I'm like, hey, you got to try this marketing channel for 6 months, have a 6-month budget for it before you can even tell if it works or not, right? You can't just try one thing for a month and it doesn't work. It's like working out, going to the gym. You have to go to the gym every single day, 5 days a week for 2 months before you might see results.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll probably take less time, but 2 months. And in business, it might be 5 years. So you're willing to put in the work, do the same thing over and over and over again for 5 years to maybe see results. If you do that, you'll be successful. So that's something I learned is just, I have very like low expectations. Like I do all the work that's required, but I have low expectations of like immediate results and success. It'd be like, you go to the gym and you jump on the scale and it's like, oh, did I lose weight? It's like, no, that's not how it works. You got to like go over again and again and again, and then you'll see results. So I learned that. And then also hiring and bringing on the best people. We work with A players. We work with A player contractors, and our office manager, Olivia, she's an A player. And we pay them more than the market it demands, but they do probably the work of 2 or 3 people by doing that. I mean, she'll text me at 10 o'clock at night, Mike, do this. I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. Like she's on the ball, like on the weekends and nights and early mornings. So don't be, I brag about, I pay my contractors really well. We pay everyone we work with really, really well. And they love working with us. They love doing business with us. All of our contractors have been with us since we started the company. Only one has left for 6 months, and then they came back. They said that was a horrible experience. I'm never leaving again. You guys are awesome. And treat them like family too. All your employees. We send them Christmas gifts, or we take them to Topgolf and take them out. Send them birthday gifts. One of their wives was sick. We sent them a big bouquet of flowers and chocolates and make sure that they do feel appreciated and valued, because they are, and just kind of going a little bit above like the standard, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of things to have a successful business, but there's 3 primary things, and that's guiding principles, like your mission, your vision, your clarity, your North Star, if you will. Number 2 is systems and processes. And then number 3 is people. And I want to address the people part, because I would assume that you see the people part like I do. And that is, it's not just your employees, it's your contractors, like you said, it's your banker, it's your accountant, it's your team, whether it be internal or external. So Speaking on that note, how do you find in today's culture the cohesiveness of keeping them together, building a culture when you've got people in different states?
In our flipping business, we meet every twice a week, every Monday and Thursday, and we go through like, hey, like what house are we buying, what house is rehabbing, which ones are we selling, and the stages. And we're just so we meet together virtually, like on Zoom, just like this, and we go through like all of our houses. So that helps kind of like building that team mentality, because we're seeing each other twice a week. We have group chats with each other. We're constantly in communication with each other. Like our subcontractors, I feel like, it depends. Like our window guys, sometimes are talking to him like 6 times in a month, and then sometimes we go a few months without talking to him. And this is the thing too, like how often do you receive like birthday gifts in the mail? Like it's very few. My grandma's the only one who sends me stuff. So even to a contractor, it's their birthday. We find out, we Facebook stalk them. We find out when their birthday is, and we have a tool that we use that sends out a card and brownies and says, "Hey, we appreciate you and thank you." To all of our like our subcontractors and everyone we work with. No one else is doing this, and it's a very doesn't take a lot of time to set up, very little money, and it goes a long way. And we had a property, I think 2 years ago on Christmas Eve, one of my apartments, the pipes froze and busted. One of my contractors went out there on Christmas Eve, went out there and fixed it. And that's how good of a relationship we have with each other. Like they know I'm willing to do anything for them, and they're willing to do anything for me.
There's a kind of an experiment that I did quite a while back to determine if that's the outcome from the owner, the leadership, or is it just in their DNA? And I found that it's the leadership. So kudos to you, because most people just don't show up, take it upon themselves, feel empowered to go out on Christmas Eve and do something like that unless they're told. And I want to share that with the listeners, because if you're a business owner that always feels like you have to tell people what to do, you might want to work on your leadership skills. Because if you're a good leader, most people will do that for you without even being asked.
100%. And that's just one example. And it's like, the people make the business.
Yeah.
You can have the systems and processes, but if you got people who don't really do it, they don't like it, they don't like you. I mean, you got, a not so great business.
So you kind of have your hands in a few cookie jars, it sounds like, in your business, or actually on your business. And you talked about marketing.
Mhm.
That is a big, big sore spot with most business owners that come to us.
Mhm.
I am a business coach. And so they're like, do you know of any good marketers that do this? Do you know any good SEO companies? Do you know any website? And of course, I guarantee you I'm going to get 5,000 DMs in my, I'm great.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's, it's a problem. So with your marketing background, and using that as a channel to make money for you, what are some tips that you would offer business owners? What should they be looking for those that don't understand the background of marketing like you do? What should they be looking for so they don't get another one of those bad experiences with a marketer?
Yeah, that's a good question. You're going to get bad experiences with marketers. You're going to get, it's like, it is what it is. Like, it's funny. In my world, like contractors, it's like, what do you do? Like to make sure it's always like 100% with your contractors. It's like, well, when I hire a new one, like it's not, you're going to have possibly a bad experience. So actually I just have this property in North Carolina, 19 unit we're rehabbing. And like, Mike, like, what's your secret for finding good contractors? So I was in a new market. I didn't know anyone. So do you know what my secret was? I called 25 contractors. Because you called two or three and two of them didn't call you back and one doesn't work out and you think I can't find a good contractor. I'm like, my numbers are no different. But out of 25, only 15 called me back, right? And then from there, I just kind of narrowed it down. So even with marketers, so I do a lot of the marketing in my business for like direct mail. We do a lot of direct mail and I manage all that. There's a book and I'm upset with myself that I'm forgetting what the name of the book is called. But this guy's a very successful entrepreneur. He says the business owner should be with the marketing team 80% of his time. You should be selling constantly. All you, as a business owner, should just be selling. How do we bring money into the business? And that's should be 80% of your focus. And I really like that because that's so true. If you just focus on trying to make the best product, but no one knows about it, no one knows about it. You're not going to make any money. So like for our flipping business, like we hired a really good pay-per-click marketing company. They do Google ads for us, right? And their focus, their niche is for real estate investors specific. And I've hired other ones in the past. I think this was the third one that we've hired, and they actually are working out. And I've hired Facebook marketing companies. I've hired two or three, and none of them worked out. I've hired cold calling companies. I've hired two of them, and none of those worked out, right? And that's okay that's just reality is what it is. But I think like referrals is like, that's how I find really good contractors in the construction world. Like a really good electrician knows a really good plumber because they work together a lot. Yeah. So if you have a good electrician, say, hey, who do you know as a plumber that's really good? So like any type of contractor I work with, I'm asking them for referrals. I'm like, hey, you're good, you're successful, you show up on time, you do what you say you're going to do. I want to find more guys like you. Who do you know in X, Y, and Z category?
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think a lot of business owners, they may not like the answer that you shared, but at least they'll feel more comfortable knowing that it's not just them. Because that's an expensive part of your business is payroll first and then marketing and advertising to get the word out. So you're 31 currently, is that right?
Yeah,
so
getting older.
What you're not in my club on that area, but I'll join you on the GPA part, but not the so what does someone at your age, what does a plan look like for you in the future? I know that that's a tough question for a lot of business owners. They can't even see past this week, but what does that look like for you?
Good question. I love goal setting. So here's like my 2023 goals, right? And from Jack Canfield, actually, I got this kind of really cool. I highly recommend, there's a book called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Highly recommend every listener to read that book. And I write out, it's 2 pages of what my life looks like where I'm going to live, what the house looks like, what I'm doing. Right. So I actually, I pre-plan what my life is going to look like, and how you get there might change. I've been doing this since 2016. And I thought at first, it was going to be chiropractor and then financial planning services and all those things. But the goal never changes of being like financially independent, like making my own schedule. Those are the most important things. Like the size of the house and the cars, like those are all cool, but those are like tertiary to my goals of working on projects that I have passion for, right? Like that's the coolest thing is wake up every day and have passion. So what does my life look like? I love where I'm at in life and in business, and I'm sure it will change. I think I will just get better at what I'm doing. I love my flipping company where it's at. We're buying apartments now. And it's just like flipping houses, but just more zeros. And it also builds that cash flow. And then now I'm helping people who want to flip houses. And I started that a year ago. And I think it's a blast. We just went to Key West with 30 people. And so it's kind of hard to say where exactly I'll end up, but I know that I'll be working on projects that inspire me. I'll be going on the boat on a Tuesday whenever I want, like having that flexibility and that freedom. And I won't take on any projects, no matter how much money it could pay, to sacrifice what's important to me.
I love that. I work with our business owners, and one of the first steps that we do is establish your core values, your top 3. So with you, it's the freedom, and that's one of mine as well, is not the freedom. Of course, I love that in the United States, but it's also the freedom of getting to go to my son's basketball game when he has a tournament at 3:00 on a Tuesday afternoon and not have to ask permission from someone, that kind of freedom. So I love that you're sticking to your core values. So if there was a last question here, if there was a room full of small business owners, and you may have already did this with your 30 people, what is the best inspiring advice that you would give that room?
Well, the nice thing is, especially in my business, like real estate, I didn't create something called real estate, and buying apartments and flipping houses. Like this has been around before me. It's going to be around till after me. So the nice thing is, and I'm not smart. This is all, should all be inspiring. Like I don't have to go create a new, I'm not Elon Musk. I don't have to create like an electric car, right? That's hard. That's like really hard work.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed in my industry where it's like, it's already there. It's existing. It's been around. And there is a proven formula. You just have to implement it, and are you willing to put in the work? Then you will be successful. If you're willing to put in the work, you will be successful. And I think too, with the internet, we're so blessed because you got people like you and other coaches who are teaching, from their success and failures. I mean, imagine trying to start a business before the internet. I would not be where I am at today. It's because I'm able to listen to podcasts like this and be a sponge and just learn from other people's successes and failures. So I would just say, find people who are more successful with you, surround yourself around them, know that if you put in the work, you will get the results.
So you didn't just get on YouTube one day and make $10 million the next?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
And that's also the fun part too, right? I mean, I feel like I'd get bored if life was that easy. So, and knowing that I got this from Russell Brunson, who's a marketer. I went to his event and he was talking about, I think it's from...
Is he the ClickFunnels guy?
He is. That's him.
Okay. Yeah.
I went to his event 2 years ago and I actually talked about it. And I think it's from, the guy who wrote not 3 Feet from Gold, but I forgot the author, but he said 98% of people are drifters in this world and only 2% are doers, right? The doers, they act, and the doers, they are the ones, they are fearful, but they still act, even being fearful, where the drifters are the ones where life always happens to them. They act out of fear, right? And it's kind of nice to know, like, well, if everyone was programmed like us, it'd make our job even more difficult. It's like, all right, good, 98%, that takes out 98% of the people, right? So that's kind of like the good thing for us. It's like, hey, if you're here, you're listening to this, and you're starting a business, you're already part of the doers. You don't have like as much competition as you think.
No, absolutely. And as one of my recent past guest said, he said, if everybody was an entrepreneur on this planet, the planet would be chaos. Can you imagine all of us being an entrepreneur?
Nothing would get done.
Nothing would get done. We'd be killing each other.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have just ideas everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you've been full of golden nuggets here. I appreciate you taking time out to share with us. How can someone follow you, get in touch with you, get part of your program, masterclass, anything you want to share?
Yeah. So you can go to our websites behind me, rewbuilders.com. That's short for Real Estate Wealth Builders. Okay. If you're interested in flipping houses, I have a ton of free videos. It's kind of amazing. I feel like I got more free content than paid stuff. And like how to flip houses, apartment buildings. I have a free Facebook group inside of there too called Real Estate Wealth Builders. There's I think 1,100 members in there. I post on there every single day about what we're working on. I'm answering questions. I do free calls. Every single month, I do a free training on houses or apartments. And that's the best way to get in contact with me. Find that free Facebook group. You can friend me on Facebook. I have like 13,000 followers. That's like my place I'm at every single day.
Okay.
Mike Mannino, and it's a black and white photo. I got 13,000 followers, so you can find me.
Fantastic. Well, again, I appreciate you and your time, and I wish you continued success.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
You bet. Welcome to the Recap and Coach's Corner section of this podcast. We just dive deep into the inspiring story of Michael Mannino, a testament to the power of resilience and dedication in the face of adversity. From overcoming a debilitating illness to achieving real estate stardom, his journey is nothing short of remarkable, reminding us all that with unwavering determination, anything is possible. Throughout our conversation with Michael, we've uncovered invaluable lessons on scaling a business, building a solid team, and fostering a thriving community. His insights serve as a roadmap for aspiring entrepreneurs, offering practical advice on navigating the competitive landscape of real estate or any small business. As we reflect on Michael's experiences, it's clear that one of the key ingredients to his success is the cultivation of a strong support network, whether it's through mentorship, networking events, or online communities like the Real Estate Wealth Builders Facebook group. Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals can provide invaluable guidance and encouragement along the way. So for today's Coach's Corner segment, here's an actionable item for you as a business owner. Take the time this week to actively seek out mentorship opportunities and engage with supportive communities. Whether it's joining industry-specific groups, attending networking events, or participating in online forums, investing in these relationships can open doors to new opportunity, valuable insights, and collaborative partnerships. In other words, find and invest in a coach or mentor today. Remember, success is rarely achieved alone. By building a strong support network, you not only gain access to valuable resources and knowledge, but also surround yourself with individuals who can provide encouragement and accountability as you pursue your entrepreneurial goals. Thank you for listening to Small Business Pivots. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. If your business is stuck or you need help creating your business to run without you, go to our website, businessownershipsimplified.com, and schedule a free consultation to learn why small business success starts with Boss. If you have a guest or topic suggestion for our podcast, or just want to talk anything small business related, email me at michael@michaeldmorrison.com. We'll see you next time on Small Business Pivots.